Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Cold Hard Truth podcast. I'm Anish Gupta, and today I'm bringing another episode of the QB Whisperer series. And I've been waiting to do this one for a long, long time. This episode is going to be on my homeboy. Oh man, I've been waiting to say that. Obviously, he's got a divisional round matchup coming up. But let's get into it right away with some cold hard truth on Patrick Mahomes. So with his college career, a little bit of context, right? 2016 at Texas Tech, finishes his year with 5,052 yards, 41 touchdowns, and 10 picks. Now, he was recognized as a potential first-round pick, but people had Mitchell Trubisky and Deshaun Watson over him. He was kind of the consensus third-best quarterback. There was kind of a QB controversy who was going to go in which part of the first round. Now, the strengths for him in his kind of draft profile was that he was a human highlight reel. Now, he was consistently turning out big plays with his arms and his legs. He was very mobile. He had 22 college rushing touchdowns, which, is pretty good for a quarterback at Texas Tech. He had a very strong arm. He was able to drive the ball into all areas of the field. That was what he was known for, right? A big arm quarterback who was strong, kind of, sturdy. But his weakness was, people were kind of skeptical on him, reading more disguised coverages and kind of adapting to NFL defenses. Because it's a different game in college and in the NFL, and I believe Texas Tech is a Big 12 school, so the defenses weren't that good. So people were always skeptical of very scary pass rushes and obviously better secondaries. But I think this is why going to the Chiefs was perfect for him because drafted 10th overall, Andy Reid traded up to get him. Now he saw something we didn't. A lot of people had Patrick Mahomes as like, why did you trade up for Patrick Mahomes instead of Deshaun Watson, a guy who, had the national spotlight, won a national championship, had all the intangibles, but yet, Andy Reid went for a guy that not many people recognized as the second best quarterback in that class. So, it was a little bit skeptical, but hey, he saw something in him. And I think the best thing for Patrick Mahomes was redshirting essentially. Learning behind Alex Smith, a guy who isn't as turnover prone. That's what Mahomes had. He had turnover problems in college. Alex Smith is the exact opposite of that. And he got to sit under it and learn under a very experienced NFL offense that made the playoffs that year. He even got some NFL action against the Broncos. And, for me, a guy who actually thought my homeboy was a little bit overrated the first year, I should have seen this coming. I mean, he had some intangibles in that Broncos game. He had flashes of, being great in this league, especially that game-winning drive. And, I should have seen it coming, simple as that. So I think that first year was really his learning year. And I think that was so great for him because his second year, his first year as a starter, 50 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, obviously won the MVP. Now he lost to Tom Brady in the AFC Championship, but a very successful season nonetheless. I mean, who wins an NFL MVP the first season as a starter? Who wins an MVP in any sport first year as a starter? So I thought it was a great year. Now his second season, obviously he missed 2 games. He still threw for 26 touchdowns, 4 picks. Now, obviously, we know what happened. He won the Super Bowl, and on that 3rd and 15, I think that's one of the most iconic plays in Super Bowl history, and I would argue that Mahomes won that game. The Niners did not lose it. Obviously, coming back down 2010 with 7 minutes left in the game. I think this is the turning point in the NFL in general. I think he has brought along a new wave of quarterbacks that shows that offense can win championships. Niners had a good defense. Their defense was playing great the entire game. And I had said, if Mahomes didn't have a good game and lost, I don't think he should be regarded as the best QB in the NFL. But he won. He got a ring. And I think he's showing now that offenses are the ones that should be predicated more on success rather than defense. So I thought that was a big turning point for the NFL, especially this Super Bowl. Now this year, 40 total touchdowns, 6 picks. Obviously, he was leading the MVP discussion for a while. Then we all know who caught up to him. Aaron Rodgers was probably going to win it. He went 14-1. He's prime position for a repeat. But I do want to say this. His last 7 games, he's won by 6 or less. And he's had 17 drop picks this year. 17. That's a bit concerning. He's got away with some. And he's living on the edge. So it's going to be tough. I mean, first playoff game. This weekend. Let's see what happens because, again, you can only live on the edge for so long. Seattle tried to do it for the last 2 years, and it obviously bit them really hard on Saturday. So let's see what this Chiefs team can do. But, again, they're still prime position to repeat. There's one guy you don't bet against in the AFC is Patrick Mahomes right now. So he's looking okay. Now, his strengths. I wanted to say one strength because we all know how great he is. I mean, I could go on and on how he reads NFL defenses. I could go on and how he's making plays with his legs, switching hands, throwing it on 3rd and 4 against Von Miller. But I wanted to talk about one thing, and that is the fact that he can make throws that nobody else can make. He is a God-given arm talent, and I wanted to talk about just one play, and it was a cover 2 zone against the Titans in the AFC Championship game. Now, what happens in this play is, game was going along smooth. I believe they were down 10, and I think they were coming back. Now, the primary route was taken away on this play. I believe it was to Tyreek Hill. Now, it's initially taken away. So the problem is, what happens is if you get more time, you lead Tyreek Hill to the right. This is actually similar to the concept that they use in the Super Bowl on 3rd and 15, except flipped. So Tyreek Hill, you're waiting for him to get separation. Usually the DB is going to move back to the guy that's running vertical, and the Tyreek beats the corner to get towards the sideline. So if he obviously had more time, the route would have been wide open, easy find for Patrick Mahomes. But there is an unlimited time in the NFL. These are more advanced defenses. So he was getting pressured. He had to move to the right. Now, I think this is also a little bit of a showcase on how good he is as an escape artist. You guys know that ability in Madden. He's the best at it. He should have like Hall of Fame escape ability because that's what he can do. He's really good at it. So he uses his mobility and his big arm to put it perfectly in stride. Now that's a throw that not a lot of people can make. I would maybe argue Josh Allen, maybe Aaron Rodgers, but like that's something that only Patrick Mahomes I've seen do. It was a perfect throw off balance. It's just something that not a lot of guys can do. And I think that what separates good quarterbacks from being great is the ability to be, off script. We're seeing it with guys like Josh Allen developing, but Patrick Mahomes was the first guy I've ever seen just right off the bat, off-script plays, constant, you never know what you're going to get. I mean, we saw it each and every game starting in with against the Chargers at that first game, then against the Niners in that first season, then against the Broncos. Like, it's just every game it seemed like he would have one off-script play that you just go, holy crap, wow. So again, that just goes to show how good of a talent he is. Now, I actually wanted to focus on 3 things that it's not even a weakness because honestly, he has none. Like, it's Patrick Mahomes. But the 3 weaknesses I would say are kind of like what he can do better. Now, one thing I would say is when I watched this film, I noticed that he would put a lot of air on the football, which leads to a little bit of overthrows to his receivers. I'll show a play against Jacksonville where he's just rolling to the left and it's just a little bit of an overthrow there. Putting a lot of, again, with a big arm, you're going to rely on it a lot. You feel like you can put a lot of air on it. And that just leads to throws that can go, 8 to 10 yards over the receivers. Now, it's not going to lead to a lot of interceptions. It's just going to lead to a lot of incompletions out of bounds. And that's a little bit concerning again, because it is the NFL, it is 3 downs and you want to make the most of each of them. So sometimes it's just a little bit of these iffy plays that kind of, may stunt the momentum of an offense. Now, the second, area of improvement would be his footwork. It's actually a little bit inconsistent, which is very surprising for the best quarterback in the league. You would expect their footwork to be on point, but there have been some plays where it's just like, I wanted to highlight a couple where it's just like he's moving back and, there's it's like a Jordan fadeaway and he's just like moving back and throwing it forward. It's not necessary at times. Like his offensive line plays great. He doesn't have to move back and use his back foot and try and thrust it forward. Plant your feet, set it, and set it and forget it. Just plant your feet and throw it across your body like a lot of these quarterbacks do. Baker Mayfield does it really well when they plant your feet. Move. You don't want to move your feet, especially. I know he's used to throwing off balance, but especially in the pocket, you don't need to move it because that creates inconsistency with actually your arm and the velocity of the ball, which leads to, again, it's a combination effect, which leads to some of these overthrows or just a little bit being off target. And, while you may think it's miscommunication, it's actually caused by his miscommunication with his feet. Now, the biggest thing I would say is, slash area for improvement. I think we all know it, actually. It's his drop back. Now, he'll sometimes drop back 10 yards to create separation from the defensive lineman. Now, that actually hurts his blockers because while you would think there's more space, it's harder for these linemen to move back as the defensive edges are bull rushing. That's why it sucks for guys like, Adrian Claiborne is the biggest bull rusher I can think of. But, when they're moving back, it's hard for offensive line to keep their feet planted and execute that. So it just allows also defensive line to get an easier angle to the backfield. And he'll take hits unnecessarily to try and avoid pressure, or he'll take a huge sack. Now, remember that play against the Dolphins, the big sack where he's rolling around? That play, he's at the 33-yard line, if I'm not mistaken, 3rd and 12, right? And he drops back 11 to 12 yards to try and make a play with his legs, and then he's moving across his body, across the length of the field to the left, and that creates offensive linemen to try and run back and catch up to the defensive edges who are faster, and gives them a way easier angle, and it shrinks the length of the field, which leads to an unnecessary sack. Again, like I said, blockers are unable to move their feet easy, and defenders can use more of the backfield to get to him, which leads to some of these unnecessary sacks, which can hurt the momentum of his offense. While they do have big plays, that can sometimes stunt it. Now, obviously, the final question is he a franchise quarterback? Come on. It's Mahomes, boy. Yes. Now, I think, the main question would be, as I said earlier in the episode, is can he catch Tom Brady? Look, the problem I think would be is, can he be the GOAT? Of course. If you were to put money on anybody passing Brady, it's Patrick Mahomes, boy. Problem is, it's the money he takes up. Brady took pay cuts, which allowed for the Patriots to sign certain players, whether it was Randy Moss, Jamie Collins, even bringing him back. Like, it was just Stephon Gilmore. Like, it's just a lot of these pay cuts that Brady took. It was just, it allowed for the team to have better success through free agency rather than the draft. Now, while the Chiefs have been able to draft well, will Patrick Mahomes' contract start to take a toll? And I think it will. So, you're looking at a guy who needs to win like 6 or 7 rings. I don't know if he can. But again, if anyone has got a chance, it's him. Now, if I were to say a definitive answer, I would say no, because again, I've got a little bit of Brady love, especially with what he's doing at his age. I don't know if anyone can ever do that again. So I don't think he'll catch up to Brady, but I think he's already got a bigger legacy than some of these guys like Phillip Rivers. Patrick Mahomes, I think, already has a better legacy. That's in my opinion. But to kind of wrap this episode up, everybody, thank you so much for watching. Sorry I went on a little bit of a tangent there with Patrick Mahomes, but hey, love the guy. I think he's prime position for a repeat. Already got a Super Bowl on his resume and an MVP. Let me know what you guys think, if there was anything I missed in terms of strengths or weaknesses. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, links to other PB Whisper episodes or other episodes if you want to check us out will be down below. We're trying to hit 500 subs by the Super Bowl, so we'd be really appreciated if you could drop a sub down below. It takes a couple seconds of your time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next time.